much for having me. And some of you have heard me and some of you have not. So I'll kind of go over pretty much who I am and talk a little bit about myself. First of all, I was a Tea Partier when Tea Party wasn't cool. In 2009, I actually had the privilege of being the National Town Hall Coordinator for Tea Party Patriots. So all those town halls you saw across the United States, I helped organize those from my home on a computer with Americans all across the United States. So one thing I learned, that the power of the people is incredible. And you as Tea Partiers know that. Now, you probably didn't hear that about me because I'm not about self-promotion. And as a Tea Partier, I know that the power of the networking of the people is more important than, talking about yourself and what you do. So I am a mother, a wife, about to be, by the way, tomorrow will be my 20th anniversary with my husband. God bless him. I just became a grandmother a week ago today. So Jonathan David is my new grandson. So anyway, I have 3 children, Katie, who's 17, Will, who's 9, and Chad, who is 24, but when I married my husband, Johnny, I inherited Chad. I always tell people I had Chad the easiest way possible. Boy, that childbirth loved missing that experience at the first time. But anyway, that's a little bit about who I am. First of all, let me say I'm an educator. I've taught for over 17 years. Love teaching. It's a great occupation that I have. Been in the workforce for over 26 years. I started out at the probate court. And let me tell you, the probate court is where life ends, you get married, and then you die. I mean, that's the bottom line. I learned a lot about, marriage license and gun, registrations for your guns. Learned a lot about things at a young age. And as I got a little bit older and worked there a couple of years, I said, I think I want to go to college. Went to college. While I was in college, I was a supervisor of a warehouse, and I tell people all the time I didn't kill anybody on the forklift. I actually knew what I was doing. I don't know if I could drive one right now, but I could back then. When I finished college, had a good life. My husband was a chemist. We do really well, and I was a school teacher. Had the life that everybody wants, middle class. And my husband was suddenly diagnosed about 7 years ago with Parkinson's disease. Now, I'll tell you this story because it kind of helps you understand how I came to be here. Well, he was diagnosed, and suddenly, he can't work. They thought he had bone cancer. He was so sick, so he was immediately incapacitated at the point he couldn't work. So I had to take on a second job. I went to work at Sylvan Learning Center, became their marketing director. So every day I'd get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, teach school, and then at night I'd go work at Sylvan Learning Center as their marketing director. I traveled to LaGrange, Carrollton, or Dallas each day. So long rides. But very much worth my while because I learned a lot. And Hank talked a little bit about some of those things that Sylvan does and some of those things. But I learned a lot more about education, especially in elementary school with children. It was very beneficial to me. Did it for 3 years. Now, in those 3 years, I learned something really important. That we really don't have a voice for us to represent us in our district. Why do I say that? Because I didn't have anybody I could go to and say, hey, can you help me figure out what I need to do? My husband's sick. I don't know where to go. I had to educate myself. And I realized that that's huge to me. And the more people I talked to and the more people I started to get to know, the more I realized that I wasn't alone. I was not alone. So if you can't tell, I don't mind talking, and I'm not embarrassed about talking. So I just started talking to more people and educating myself. Learned a lot about Parkinson's disease and decided, hey, we need to do something about this disease and try to get some help because there was no help in my area. It was up in Rome. Went to Rome, talked to the guys, and I said, why don't we have a group here that's working with some patients here? And they said, well, we don't have the money. So we decided to do a walk, my husband and I. Now, in the past 5 years, we started the walk 5 years ago. Our first walk raised $25,000. Past 5 years, we've raised over $155,000 as of this year. Now, I'm not telling you that to promote me. I'm telling you that because I learned another big lesson. Twice. The power of the people is incredible. And why is it incredible? When you educate people. You show them things. and they become knowledgeable, it is incredible what you can do. So they asked me to go to Washington, D.C. and speak for them on legislation and work on legislation, which I gladly did. Of course, I'll tell you, when they asked me to go, I was like, really? Me? I'm just a country girl from Cedartown, Georgia. I don't know what to do about legislation. Are you kidding me? These lawmakers are going to laugh at me. But I went. Well, they didn't laugh when I got in the room, because I actually knew what I was talking about. And we worked on this legislation. Luckily for me, while I was in Washington, D.C., I was able to meet some people who were working with the Tea Party. They called me up one day and I said, well, you know, I'm just not happy with this health care bill. This is a bad thing. My husband, who has Parkinson's, is going to be affected greatly. It's going to hurt his care. It's going to hurt all of us taxpayers, because we're going to carry the burden and we're going to get less care ourselves. So we met. I started working with Tea Party Patriots, worked with them. Oh, by the way, free. We all know Tea Party is free. We don't get paid for it, do we? So I started working with them and, you know, worked on these town halls. I'll never forget the Arlen Specter Town Hall. Y'all remember that one on TV? Well, the lady that I worked with would go to that town hall and give her information on the background. That morning she called me. I'll never forget as long as I live. She called me. She said, Jen, I'm going over here, you know, the Arlen Specter's thing, and I'll let you know how it goes. Well, I saw it on TV before she called me. She calls me that night. She says, you're not going to believe this. And I'm like, oh, yes, ma'am, I am. I just saw you on television. And she was like, what? You know. So, really, honestly, that was my third time learning what? The power of the people is incredible when we work together, when we become educated, and we know what we're doing. So as this time progressed and I started working, I've been working in the community all my life. A servant's heart. I mean, now I grew up, my parents told me you should be giving the community or you're not making something of your life. I'm the president of the Cedartown Exchange Club, first woman president, and we're big on child abuse prevention. I'm on the board for Our House with the Battered Women's Shelter. I'm on the board for Community Share, which is for homeless. I'm on the board for the National Parkinson's Foundation for the Georgia chapter, and the work that we've done has helped bring lots of help across the state of Georgia for Parkinson's patients. Now, why did I decide to run? Because of what I told you. The power of the people. I'm tired of lawmakers telling me, and I promise you, I've been to those rallies that we had in Washington, D.C. I helped organize some of those rallies. There were lawmakers that said to me, Jennifer, can I use your name? You people don't understand. You people? I'm you people. Well, you are you people too. Do you understand what's going on? I know I do. And I'm tired of people speaking for me. It's time we have a voice. It's time that we listen to the people and we say, you know what? If you're going to work for me and you don't want to listen to me, I'm going to get rid of you. Now, I'm working to get rid of an incumbent Democrat. I have no personal issue with him. He's a nice guy. Hey, I like men. They're nice guys. But I don't like all the things that he's doing. Let me tell you what we need. First of all, economic development. We all know we need jobs here. Bartow County really has done a great job bringing in more industry, bringing in more jobs. You know, the Toyo expansion, the Emerson project. But guess what? We got to keep working. And one of the big key pieces is that we have got to work on education. Georgia Work Ready program. Now, we're certified, and that's great. It was one of the first counties that got certified with that, and it's done a great job with that. Just like with the Georgia Highlands, the Student Center. That's awesome. We've got to continue with that. We've got to continue bringing in things into the local schools, working with them. Because one of the problems that we've had is we've focused on college prep for far, far too long. I'm a school teacher. I know that every child is not a college prep kid. Now, you know, we've kind of been forbidden to say that. I mean, it's just kind of insinuated that way. We've got to stop that. Because I like the plumber, I like the electrician. Hey, you know what? If you work for McDonald's and you're the best hamburger flipper that you can be, that's your job. Whatever you're the best at is what you should be. But we've got to work on those industries and things and have our workforce ready, or they're not going to come, and make it competitive. We've got to get rid of the corporate income tax. And how many of you are tired of paying this enormous personal income tax? I mean, good grief. That's a lot of our checks. It's about to kill us. We've got to work on reducing that. We've got to simplify the tax code. Hey, I'm for fair tax. I really like fair tax. I'm tired of the property owners taking on the burden. I'm a property owner. I think we need to make it fair. Fair tax. When it comes to schools, I'm for school choice. I'm a school teacher. I see, and I'm a parent. I know parents want homeschooling. I know parents want a choice in education. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I also know that teachers want to teach. They're tired of teaching to a test. They're tired of these mandates that we've had to go along with for far too long. Of course, now that we've been able to waiver No Child Left Behind, we're hoping that we can have more of a voice. We got a long way to go, though. And lastly, you know, I think that the biggest thing I want everyone to remember here tonight is that, again, we need a voice. If we don't have that voice, why are we here? I truly believe that. I know for a fact that I want my children to stay in this community, to stay in this district. I want them to grow up here. My oldest is in Virginia now. He couldn't find a job. I want him to come back and raise his kids here. I want him to want to prosper here, want to grow here. Do I believe it can happen? I absolutely do. Do I believe that we can work on our budget? Of course I do. The new plans that the State House has started working on with zero-based budgeting that they're beginning a process with, I think that's a great idea. What about where they started with the TANF program and they're saying, okay, if you do illegal drugs, you don't get your benefits. I think that's awesome. We've got to start making people accountable. Am I done?
You're done.
Okay, please vote for me, Jennifer Hulsey, HulseyInTheHouse.com, and if you have any questions, go ahead and ask.
Thank you, Jennifer.
You were